They say the view from the top of a New York City skyscraper can make you feel like a god. But I have always found that it just makes everything on the ground look smaller, more manageable. I am Helena Montez, and at 35, I am a senior bank executive, a title that sounds important because it is. From my office on the 52nd floor, the city is a grid of ambition and secrets, a place I learned to navigate not with a map, but with a strategy. Most people here see the polished suit and the calm smile and assume I was born into this world of quiet, decisive power. They do not know about the cramped apartment I grew up in, or the way my parents' worried whispers about money were the soundtrack to my childhood. They see the success, but they have no idea about the hidden accounts, the carefully cultivated network, and the personal market I play that has nothing to do with stocks and everything to do with survival. My greatest asset has never been money. It has been the ability to see people for what they are, not what they pretend to be. I learned that lesson the hard way with the man I married, Marcus. He was charming, with a smile that could disarm a hostile board and a confidence that filled every room he entered. We were the ultimate power couple, or so the magazine said. He was in venture capital, and I was in banking. Together, we were supposed to build an empire. I said yes to him on a terrace overlooking Central Park, under a blanket of stars, believing our love was as real and vast as the city lights below. I truly believed he was my partner, the one person who saw all of me, the girl from nothing and the woman who was building everything, and loved both. But love can be the most dangerous kind of merger, one where you sign the contract in good faith, only to find the other party has been hiding liabilities all along. The betrayal was not a single shattering event, it was a slow poison. It started with small things, him taking credit for an idea I had shared over dinner, or using one of my contacts without asking. I told myself it was partnership, that we were a team and his win was my win. Then came the bigger risks, the investments made with our joint accounts that he swore were sure things. When they failed, it was my income, my carefully built safety net that absorbed the loss. He would apologize, his eyes full of remorse, and I would forgive him because I loved him, and because I thought his ambition was just a clumsier version of my own. The final unforgivable blow came not in our bedroom, but in a sterile financial report I was not supposed to see. I was reviewing the quarterly performance of a tech fund my bank was considering acquiring, and I saw his name. Not as an investor, but as a debtor. He had started a side company, a foolish high-risk venture, and had been siphoning money from our accounts to keep it afloat. Worse, he had used my name, my reputation, as collateral to secure loans from less reputable lenders, forging my signature on documents that tied my entire professional future to his impending failure. He had not just bet our money, he had bet my life's work, everything I had clawed my way up to achieve, and he had done it all behind my back. In that moment, staring at the digital proof of his deceit, love did not turn to hate. It turned to ice. My heart did not break. It hardened. This was no longer a marriage in trouble. It was a hostile takeover attempt, and I was not about to lose my own company. He thought he was a player in the big leagues, but he forgot who owned the stadium. If you love Helena's journey, like and subscribe to join her next chapter. I did not cry. I did not scream. I opened a new encrypted file on my personal server and began to work. For 6 months, I lived a double life. To Marcus, I was the supportive, slightly worried wife, listening to his vague complaints about market volatility. But in the hours between midnight and dawn, I was a forensic accountant, a hunter. I traced every dollar he had moved, every shell corporation he had created, every lie he had told. My secret wealth, the funds I had built for myself long before I met him, became my weapon. While he was borrowing from sharks, I was becoming the ocean. I quietly and anonymously bought up his company's debt. One by one, I purchased the loans from the very people he thought he was fooling. I became his sole creditor, the invisible force squeezing his failed dream into dust. He never saw it coming. He just felt the pressure, the growing desperation, and he came to me, his perfect, reliable wife, for a bailout. He asked me to present his company to my bank's board for an emergency line of credit, and I agreed. I told him I had scheduled a special meeting in the main boardroom, the one reserved for deals that change the world. I called it our anniversary gift to each other, a new beginning for our empire. He saw it as his salvation. I knew it was his end. The day of the meeting was our 5th anniversary. He walked into that boardroom on the 65th floor like a king. His presentation loaded on a flash drive, his smile as bright and fake as ever. The room was intimidating by design, with a 20-foot mahogany table that reflected the city skyline like a dark mirror. My personal lawyer was there, a quiet woman he mistook for a note-taking assistant. The bank's head of legal was there too, a man whose silence was more terrifying than any threat. Marcus launched into his pitch, all passion and projections, a fantasy of success built on a foundation of my money and my name. I let him finish. I even smiled politely. Then it was my turn. I stood up, and instead of a speech, I let the projector speak for me. The first slide was a complex web, a diagram showing every dollar he had stolen from our joint accounts. The second was a list of the fraudulent loan documents with his forged version of my signature highlighted in red. He started to protest, his voice shaking, but I did not look at him. I just advanced to the next slide. It was a simple, elegant logo of a holding company he had never seen before. My holding company, the one that now owned 100% of his debt. I spoke for the first time, my voice calm and even, cutting through the silence of the room. Your company is insolvent, Marcus, and I am calling the note. Everything you have is now the property of my company. Effective immediately. His face went white. The color drained away until he was as pale as the papers in front of him. He looked at me, his eyes pleading. Helena, this is a mistake. We are married. We can fix this. He tried to reach for my hand across the vast table, but I pulled it back. I slid a thin, leather-bound folder toward him. It landed in front of him with a soft, final thud. Our marriage, I said, my voice dropping to a whisper that was louder than any shout, was the asset you leveraged without my permission. That contract is now void. He opened the folder. Inside were the divorce papers, already signed by me. Sign them, I said, my eyes locked on his. Sign them and you walk out of here with your freedom. If you refuse, this entire presentation, along with a sworn affidavit from me, goes to the office of the district attorney before lunch. Your choice. He stared at the papers, then at me, and in his eyes I saw the pathetic collapse of a man who had mistaken kindness for weakness. He picked up the pen, his hand trembling, and signed away our life together. He walked out of that room a broken man, but I walked out free. That day, I did not just file for divorce in a boardroom. I executed the most important acquisition of my career. I bought back my own life. Don't forget to like and subscribe, because my story is just getting started.